and they are all at a distance. If you see this distance for P, on the x-axis it is x, this is x, y, and z. Okay, so this distance. So first, the first question is, what is u? If it's rigid body, simply you will say, okay, it is x dot. Definitely, that's going to give the velocity component. But there's something more. Every time you look at this point, that in addition to the linear velocities, there are going to be some rotational terms. I'll again go back to this thing. I'm talking about velocity along this axis. Obviously, if x is changing, x dot is going to be one of the components. But what's going to happen is, because this is a very generalized system, you're going to have rotational components also. So it is linear components plus some rotational components. Now, instead of considering it as a 3D object, just look at it as on the 2D plane. That is, you're looking into the axis along the y-axis. So you are basically looking at the xz plane. Okay. And same point you're looking at P. Sanjay, in case my slides are not synchronized, just warn me. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So it's rotating. It's free to rotate with a velocity q. So definitely there is one component qz. Now look into the xy plane. It is free to move yaw at a rate r. Okay. So again you have a velocity component minus ry. Minus ry because you're going in this direction. Okay. Earlier it was going along the x-axis. Now it is going in the opposite direction. That's why you have a negative sign. So likewise, if you do all this, so now we are just looking at one component u. So it had one linear component, and then you have the rotational components. Similarly, you can repeat the process for v and w. Okay. Now, in typical aircrafts, you can assume that this point is rigid. Rigid means x dot, y dot, and z dot is equal to 0. You substitute this in this figure, in these set of equations, and you get this. Again, you will just concentrate on one. U is equal to qz minus ry. Okay. So if that was velocity, now what is the acceleration components? So acceleration, immediately you will say there is a x dot, u dot, v dot, and w dot. That these are going to be the linear components. Now, but in addition to that, there's also going to be some rotational things. So you'll have to differentiate each one of them. So you have this u dot, v dot, w dot. Yeah, okay, you are recording it now, so it will be better. And then you have the rotational components. Okay. So how we are going to do the rotational components is, if you look at u, it is, you are doing du by dt, which is nothing but d dt of qz minus ry. So now all you have to do is differentiate this. You'll get q dz by dt minus r dy by dt. But we know that dz by dt is nothing but the displacement in the vertical direction. So it's nothing but q times W minus R times dy is nothing but velocity along the y-axis. So it is RV. So similarly, you have to do for other three components also. Okay. Now, if you look at it, so we already got this velocity components. Aircraft is not just standing in still air. Okay, it is also moving with some velocities. Okay, UVW, capital UVW. So you want to know the net velocities, just add these components UVW to the components already we have derived. So let us call those things U prime, V prime, and W prime. So okay. What I'm trying to say is U prime is nothing but the velocity of the aircraft as well as whatever we have derived. So you have two components. Again, if you want the complete acceleration, so you'll have to differentiate the previous equation so that you get all this AX prime and all this stuff. Now we have the acceleration. So the next step is definitely going to be mass into acceleration is the disturbing force. Suppose I am talking about x-axis, it is mass into acceleration into the force along x axis, which is capital X. Now let's try to figure out what is happening in this left hand side of it. Okay, so now if you are taking the acceleration, so all you have to do is just you want to get these uh, components. Now, if you do all this differentiation, finally you will end up with a very large equation. But if you assume that Q, R, and P are very, very small quantities, look closely at these terms. Q squared is going to be a very small term, almost zero. R squared is zero. You have a product which is again 0. Likewise, you keep doing all this, probably compared to this blue box, this red box is going to be magnitude wise very small. So you can safely neglect this portion of it. So we have a slightly simpler equation. So once you do this sort of thing, so I'll just go back. Let's just concentrate only on the x equation. Okay. So it is just three terms. Now this looks quite okay, but the issue is it a linear equation or non-linear equation? Look at it carefully, the first equation alone. It's a linear differential equation or non-linear differential equation? See, look at this, these terms, they are product of two independent variables. So it's a non-linear equation. Non-linear differential equation. Now, solving non-linear differential equations is extremely difficult. So our first step is how do we linearize it? Similarly, if you look at the moment equations, again, same logic. Okay, neglect small quantities like cross moment of inertia and all you can neglect, and worry only about the significant terms. You know, I don't want to go back from force and moment equations because you can go through the slides. That's otherwise you lose track of how the whole thing is getting derived. Okay. Now, this is the left hand side, and right hand side is going to be again complicated because it's not just one force x, it is going to be due to different reasons. One is aerodynamic. Second, you have gravitational. C is control. P is power. And D is atmospheric disturbances like gust and all those things. Likewise, you do it for all three equations. So again, going back to moment equations, here you talk about same arrow, gravitational, control, power and disturbances. Now, how do we linearize the equations? First of all, we'll make one assumption: there is no disturbance. It's perfect atmosphere. In the slides, I have given the equation numbers also, so that it will be easier when you read the textbook. Plane of symmetry is something we can assume in the initial stages. Steady flight with zero roll, no side slip, and no yaw angles. Okay, that is also a valid assumption. And we'll assume that it is having some equilibrium velocities UE, VE, and WE. That is in the undisturbed state. And angular velocity components are zero, okay, and there is no side slip. That's a major assumption we make. No, atmosphere is okay. And then we'll also say that product of these are all very small. So when you say perturbation means very small disturbances. We are not talking about large maneuvers. So these are small quantities. Okay, I'll just tell you, just give you a number. Like say UE is some 200 meter per second. I am talking about small u being some 1 meter per second. That's the sort of magnitude I'm talking about. So when you add UE with small u, it becomes almost significant. Or let us say even 0.1. And if V is again 0.1, you multiply UV, it's a very small number compared to U capital, UE by VE. That's what I mean by perturbations. They are all very small quantities about the equilibrium. Initially, aircraft is at equilibrium, and then we want to do some perturbation. And the initial velocities UEV, when you're talking about equilibrium, it is constant. Okay, they're not. It's aircraft is at this stage is not accelerating. So now the next thing is you'll have to linear. Only this again. I'll say U is nothing but capital UE plus small u. So when I do, and now I'll write this similarly. W is equal to WE plus small w, and V is equal to VE plus V, which because there is no side slip, I can always say it is small v. Now if I substitute these conditions into the first equation, it's nothing but m times UE dot plus U dot minus R small v plus Q times WE plus W. I'm just substituting this in this equation. Now if you see U dot E, UE is a constant value, okay? So U dot E is going to be 0. RV is a product of two small quantities, so I can safely say it is 0. If inside this you have two terms, Q into small w is going to be a very small quantity. So what we are left is with only QWE. So if you do remove all these things from this equation, we'll end up with this equation. Now if you look at it closely, it is mu dot plus q times we is a constant. So it is a linearized equation. Earlier it was non-linear, now we have made it linear. And right hand side is same, we are just substituting the same thing. Similarly, you do for other force and moment equations. Okay, so okay, fine. So today I'll end with this. What you have done is from basically we had a set of non-linear equations, and finally we ended up with a set of linear equations. Okay. Now I request you, today is Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday again we are having class. So up to whatever we have done so far, uh, in your own, with your own handwriting, you write it. Don't submit it on Friday. We'll do the other part, the next part of the derivation that will include gravitational terms, and then we'll try to expand it. Finally, maybe next week, by next Tuesday, I'll be able to, hopefully by even by Monday, I'll be able to finish it. That time you submit it as an assignment, but handwritten, okay? Uh, Next Tuesday only, so that you get a feel of how the whole thing is derived. Is it okay, Sanjay?
Yes, okay, sir.
I don't want to derive the complete thing. Okay? Then it becomes too much.
Yes.
So you have enough time till the next class. Go through the book, go through the slides, and these slides I'll try to upload it today on the AMS.
Okay.
So it will be easy for you to follow. Okay. Fine. I'll end with this, and we'll meet on Friday. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Right. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.